guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Vera. I'm a St. Louis based content creator. I'm also a licensed cosmetologist and I do photography as well. But today I'm here to talk to you guys about my weight loss journey. If you clicked on the title of this video, then you're probably wanting to know how I lost 20 pounds in less than 31 days. And I'm here to tell you guys how I did it. I'm here to tell you my journey through my first week of keto. For those of you who do not know what keto is, it's short for ketosis. Basically, the amount of carbs that you consume are so low that your body does not have enough glycogen stores to burn for energy, and instead your body switches to burning fat. That's what keto is, and that's essentially what I've been doing. If we kind of rewind and go back to the very beginning of my journey. So growing up, I was always, I want to say I was skinny. A lot of people would say I looked smaller than what I actually weighed. Like, don't get me wrong, I've always had thicker thighs and more muscular arms, but I did kind of look skinny. My weight did fluctuate some after I had my son due to like depression and similar things like that. But then after I had 3 more kids, you know, after that 4th one, I didn't really snap back as easily as I did with the other ones. And from there, just dealing with life and everything, I went from, I would work out a lot and I would try to be healthy, but it just wouldn't last. It wouldn't last long. So I went from weighing maybe 117 to 120 pounds when I was younger to 145 and 150 pounds after I had my son. And the weight started going up and up. And I'll insert a picture of me if it's appropriate. I don't know. Basically, I started to feel very unhappy about my weight when I was around 155 pounds. And from there, it went up to 165 pounds. And then from there, the next thing you know, I blink and I'm 198 pounds. And I noticed things were a lot different for me when I would walk or when I would just do everyday things. I would get out of breath. I went to Paul Mitchell, so I was standing on my feet most of the time. And after I graduated school, I noticed when I would stand on my feet and do hair for an interview or something, my feet, like my ankles would hurt really bad. Or if I'm walking, you know, my knees would kind of hurt. I started having back problems. I just started noticing all these extra problems. And I felt like it was my body trying to tell me that I can't keep carrying all this weight. My frame was just not built to carry 198 pounds. I'm only 5'2", and I'm technically considered obese. And so I knew I needed to make a change, especially with doing photography and content creating, not being able to fit clothes, having to constantly buy clothes. And you know, I understand a girl can have 1,000 pieces in her closet and feel like she has nothing to wear, but I really did not have anything to wear, even though I was buying clothes, because I was constantly putting on the pounds. So I knew I knew I needed to make a change. I knew it needed to happen. And that's when I decided to do the keto diet. So I did try intermittent fasting before. I started off with weighing 198 pounds, and this may have been around June, anywhere from June to July, when I tried intermittent fasting. And I did the 16 hours fasting, and then I also did the 18 hours fasting. I did not lose much weight though, and it could have been because I wasn't watching what I was eating as closely as I should have been, but I went from 198 pounds to around 194 pounds. And from there, my weight just kind of stayed in between that range. I did not right away start a strict keto diet, which I believe is considered anywhere from 20 grams or less of carbs. And mainly the carbs come from vegetables or maybe some low glycemic fruits like berries, blueberries, blackberries, a couple of strawberries. I started off doing, I would say, a dirty keto, or just a less strict version of keto diet. I eliminated bread, I eliminated refined sugars, and I mean, to an extent, I still ate a little bit. I think the hardest thing for me when it comes to my diet is the sugar in the form of a pumpkin spice latte. So that was rough for me. But anyway, so I did that for about 2 weeks, and then I was ready to fully commit to taking the plunge. I did that for about 2 weeks in conjunction with intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting, for those of you who don't know, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm putting a lot of terms out there, and I don't want to assume that anybody may know what I'm talking about, because I know if you're new to this, it's a lot to take in. But anyway, so I did a more lax version of keto in conjunction with intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is basically when you have a window or period of time where you don't eat and then you eat. And if you think about it, you kind of fast while you're sleeping. So if you go to sleep around 10 and then you wake up 8 hours later, so you fasted for 8 hours, and when you eat breakfast, it's called break fast. So you're breaking your fast. But anyway, a lot of common intervals for fasting is 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating, or 18 hours fasting, 6 hours eating, or 20 hours fasting and 4 hours eating. Most people that do the last one are on a 1 meal a day type of diet where they just eat one big meal and that's all they have for the day. I did do that 1 day a week. All the other days I started off with a 16-hour fast, and then I ate for 8 hours. So not 8 hours straight, but I had 8 hours worth of time to eat my meals for the day. And my hours for eating were between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. And realistically, you don't want to eat after 6 or 7. So by default, I kind of didn't always eat past 6 or 7. And sometimes I would eat around 11. So it would fluctuate a little bit depending on what I had going on during the day. I did this because I knew I wanted to do both keto and intermittent fasting together, but I didn't want to overwhelm myself with too many restrictions all at once. This is something that I want to change in terms of my lifestyle, and I feel like it's easier to create these healthier habits when you slowly start implementing them versus just trying to completely change everything at once. And that was pretty successful for me. My son's birthday was September the 12th. We went to order his cake on the 10th, and it was hard. It was so hard for me to not want to eat bread or anything like that. I mean, because we were in the bakery, it was very tempting. I wanted to eat all the donuts, all the cupcakes, all the bread, just everything. But I remained strong until we went to pick the cake up and we sang happy birthday. So I ate the cake and a May. And that was the last time I had cake or like carbs in the terms of bread and all that unhealthy stuff. So I started my keto, my strict keto diet on September the 12th. But I basically spent the last few minutes just explaining to you guys how I worked my way up to being able to start strictly no extra sugar, no extra bread, grains, refined anything. So when I started my strict keto diet along with intermittent fasting, I was around 198 pounds. And I didn't really lose much weight within the first 4 days, and I can't tell you why, but I do know after the first week, so maybe about day 8, I noticed that I probably lost about 4 pounds, and I'll put the exact number up here when I check my Fitness Pal. And I knew it was probably water weight because, as you know, when you're doing keto, it's important to make sure that you're staying hydrated and that you're drinking water. And I've always struggled with drinking enough water. I've been using my Healthish water bottle, and it really helps me keep track and stay on top of how much water I should have had by a certain time in the day. And that really helped me a lot. I hopped on the scale, and I think I maybe got down to 194, 193, and I was kind of excited because, you know, I'm down about 4 or 5 pounds, but I knew it was water weight, which is okay. You know, it's a work in progress. But from there, I just kept going. I do believe I got the keto flu the second week that I was on the diet, and it only lasted for about a day and a half. I felt like death, like literally. I had no energy, I felt miserable, but then I also did experience a few bouts of being lightheaded during the first couple of days of the diet, and I can't tell you if it was because I was doing intermittent fasting or if it was because I wasn't drinking as much caffeine, or if it was because I wasn't eating carbs. It could have been any of those factors. Another thing also could have been electrolytes. So when you're doing both intermittent fasting and keto, you want to make sure you're getting your electrolytes. So I did start drinking bottled water with electrolytes, or I would put a little bit of Himalayan salt in my water. And another option you can do is also take potassium vitamins, or make sure your vitamins have that potassium and a little bit of the sodium in it so you can get those electrolytes. After that, I started feeling a little bit better, and it's funny because I adopted the habit that you shouldn't adopt at all, which is weighing yourself every day. It's like an obsession, and I'm not saying that to brag because it's not a cute or good obsession to have. And I also want to note that on this journey, I'm focusing less on the number and more so on how my clothes fit. But since I'm not working out, I know that if this number on the scale is going down, it's a good indication that I am losing weight because I'm not doing any sort of body recomposition, which is where you change the makeup of your body and not so much the number of how much you weigh. So a person that weighs 165 pounds with maybe 25% body fat looks a lot different from somebody that weighs 65 pounds with about 35% body fat. And their clothes are going to fit different, even though the number on the scale is the same. So I get that you're not supposed to, you know, obsess over the number, but I'm to a point right now where I am at 198. Well, right now I'm at like 178, and I want to get down to about 165. Then I will work on my body composition, where I probably won't look at the scale much at all because I'm going to be building muscle mass and then trying to continue to burn fat. I was looking at the number, and I was literally losing like 1.2 pounds a day. It was just melting off. And I started using MCT oil. The first time I tried the MCT oil, it was disgusting. It reminded me of castor oil almost. But I started finessing my coffee, and I'm on a roll now. It tastes great, and I hardly taste the MCT oil. And in terms of having energy, yes, I did have energy throughout the day. I even want to say sometimes when I had an extra cup of coffee, naturally I would get bursts of even more energy. I felt like I was getting things done. People started noticing that I looked smaller. I didn't really notice it at first, but now that I think about it, I do feel like I have some face gains here. So face gains just means, like, you know how you got muscle gains. So I feel like I have face gains. Like, I lost a little bit of weight in my face. I can tell a little bit in my stomach area. When I measured myself last week, I think my waist was about a 34, and I just measured it 2 days ago and it was at a 33. So I lost about an inch off my waist. I did not weigh my thighs or my arms or my hips. I'm lying. I measured my hips, but I didn't measure them again because I just want to slim down my waist. My thighs are probably always going to be thick, so it's no point in even caring about the thighs. This is the MCT oil that I was using, and I showed this in my September favorites video. Basically, it's C8 and C10, which are the medium chain triglycerides derived from coconut in here. I call this brain food because it basically helps with your cognitive function. It helps you think. It helps you not be so foggy, especially from dealing with not having those carbs and your body adjusting as you switch over to burning fat. Also, it's supposed to help your body make those ketones and kickstart the ketogenic diet, and it helps you get healthy fats. And so this here has 14 grams of fat, no carbs, and yes, it has C8 and C10, which is calpric acid and caprylic acid, which are the medium chain triglycerides. There's no carbohydrates in here, and all these facts are for 1 tablespoon. You can have up to 3 tablespoons a day, but you might have some digestion stuff going on with this, meaning you might poop. I started off with 1/2 tablespoon, and now I've worked my way up to 2. And as you can see, I don't know if you can really see or not, but I'm almost done with it. Another thing that has really helped me on my keto journey is the Perfect Keto Salted Caramel Powder. This is the Keto Collagen. Now, it has become like my favorite thing because it's a good source of protein, and it has MCT powder in it, which means it's a good source of fat. So it's like a 3-in-1, and I absolutely love it. And for all of you beauty people watching this video, yes, the collagen in this powder has definitely helped me out in terms of my skin and my nails. My nails are growing, they're stronger. My skin, I feel like there are a few things that can contribute to my skin getting better, which is more water, no carbs. Maybe I have a gluten allergy and I didn't know it. And then just the collagen, getting the collagen. So this I recommend to everyone. And it does have a little bit of a sweet taste because it has stevia. Yeah, so it has stevia in it, and it also has sea salt, so that helps with the electrolytes as well. I also went ahead and picked up these Sweet Leaf Sweet Drops, and this is for when I want to try to make my own pumpkin spice latte, or say I just want coffee with no powder or milk or anything, which by the way I use coconut milk and a tablespoon of heavy whipping cream. I'll use this, and it just gives my stuff a little bit of sweetener. Now I will say it did take a little bit of getting used to the flavor of the stevia drops, but I also use monk fruit. This is the monk fruit that I use. I purchased it from Whole Foods. So I use those two to help when it comes to craving sweet things, or having a sweet tooth. So that's been my journey so far. It started off really rough, it started off really hard, and now I feel like I have plateaued. I am kind of hovering at the 178 mark, and I've been there for almost a week now. And actually I cheated on my diet, and I ate a few things that have carbs that are high on that glycemic level. And there are plenty of charts out there on Pinterest. If you want some, hit me up in the comments and I can send you some of the guides that I have been using on this diet. But yes, I ate some stuff that has carbs in it, and I'm no longer in ketosis. And I know that not only because the scale has kind of stayed at 178, but also because I have the urine test strips that test your ketone bodies, and it's the same color as how it came after I pee on this strip. It's the same color as it came out of the bottle. So I know I'm not in ketosis right now. And I will say I feel like before I went ahead and consumed these carbs, the number, I noticed it wasn't going down. And I think I probably would have plateaued anyway, regardless of if I had this little indulging day of eating carbs. So I think now that I'm at this point, it's time for me to kickstart something else. And I did start slacking with the intermittent fasting. So I'm just going to give myself the rest of this week to kind of start over and watch my carbs. And at the beginning of next week, I'm going to go back to my strict keto, my 20-hour fast, and I'm going to start walking. I want to try to walk every day up and down my block, and then maybe work out 1 or 2 times a week. Again, I don't want to set the goal too high to where I don't do anything. I want to ease into things, but I definitely feel like it's time for me to add something else to my routine, because I know my body, and I know that I feel like I easily adapt to things, just like when I was lifting weights or when I was running on the treadmill. Once I set a goal and I get to that, it doesn't do anything for me anymore after a while. It could be that if I did continue with intermittent fasting and keto, I might start losing more weight, but I personally feel like for me it's time to start adding something else in there to keep my keep keto going. And that's just my theory. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that. So please take what I say with a grain of salt. But that's my journey so far. That's where I am. I'll post a few before and after pictures from when I was 198 to now at 178. And it's been an amazing journey so far. I feel like I can conquer anything now. I feel like I can reach my goal of 165, or not even so much 165. I just know I want to be healthier. I want to have a healthy physique, and I want to have more muscle. I want to have a healthier BMI, all of those good things. I feel like I can definitely achieve that goal now, and I feel like you guys can too. So that being said, I'm just going to share a few tips that helped me when it came to getting into ketosis and kind of staying into ketosis, and just helping me with my diet altogether. So the first tip I want to share is to make sure you're drinking water, because if you're not drinking enough water, your body's not going to let go of any of that water weight. And then also, when you're on ketosis, you want to make sure that you're drinking enough water to flush out those ketone bodies. So you want to make sure you're flushing things out, and it's just good to get out all those impurities and all that extra gunk that you're consuming every day. Tip number 2 is to consider doing intermittent fasting when you want to start keto. And what some people do is they will do a full 24-hour fast. I've even seen people do 72-hour fast and kind of deplete those glycogen stores in their body before they start their low carb diet. And that kind of helps their body get into ketosis quicker as well. And I also would recommend continuing doing intermittent fasting once your body does enter ketosis. Tip number 3 is optional if you're a sweet tooth, is to get yourself some artificial sweeteners, because it'll help you stay away from those refined sugars, and it'll keep your carb cravings kind of under wraps. Tip number 4 is to get you some sort of MCT, whether it's the powder like the one I showed you with the collagen, or if it's the oil like the MCT oil with the brain food. They have them with turmeric. They have so many different good things infused into the MCT oil to help aid your journey into getting into ketosis, or just being healthier in general. Tip number 5 is similar to tip number 4, but it's to make sure that you are consuming enough fat. If you are not consuming enough fat, you're not going to go into ketosis. You don't have any more glycogen stores in your body, so it starts to take the protein and break that down into glycogen to burn for fuel, which means you'll still have the fat that you had on your body, but you will start losing muscle because your muscles are made from protein. But anywho, what do I know? And tip number 6 is to be cautious and just conscious of what type of fats you're eating. Just because you're on a keto diet and you're supposed to have more fat, that doesn't mean you're supposed to have any kind of fat in the world. That doesn't necessarily mean slap butter on everything. That doesn't necessarily mean eat a pack of bacon a day. You want to eat healthy fats, avocados, nuts, things like pumpkin seeds, nut butters, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds. You can have pistachios, walnuts, almonds, cashews. All of those are good, but just make sure you're still keeping track of how many carbs are in them. Eggs are pretty good. Olive oil. I've been sleeping on olive oil my entire life. I did not know olive oil was good in the sense of the fat content in terms of your diet. I had no clue. I just been using it because I don't know, if I just thought that's what you were supposed to use. But olive oil is another good one, as well as coconut oil. Not only because the MCT oil is derived from coconut oil, it's just a good oil in general to use. And if you're into Greek yogurt, you can still eat that because it has a healthy amount of good fats, but just make sure it doesn't have any sugar. You have to probably get the plain unflavored and maybe add some stevia and some vanilla extract to it and throw in some blueberries or something. And that's a good way to kind of, you know, feed your sweet tooth a little bit. And cheese is another really good one. I struggle with the cheese because I do want to eventually go dairy free and do a vegan keto diet because I just want to try it to see how it helps with my skin. And also I used to suffer from IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. And I think it was because I was eating too much meat, bread, and cheese. So I'm eliminating the bread and I've been doing pretty good. But I do want to get rid of the cheese and the dairy. I don't drink much milk. The only dairy that I'm really eating now is cheese. Even my butter, I use ghee, which is grass-fed. It's grass-fed, dairy-free butter alternative, and it's been good. The one I have is infused with turmeric. Turmeric is really good for you as well. It has a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. But so those are the good fats that you want to have on your diet. And when you're looking at fats, you want to try your hardest to avoid trans fats. And those are the ones that are basically like anything that says hydrogenated or shortening. A lot of times it's fried foods, which you shouldn't be having fried foods anyway on keto, and processed foods, which again, if you want to live a healthier lifestyle, you want to try to stay away from anything that's in a box, anything that is not cooked at home. And I think that is probably tip number 7, which is to try to cook most of your meals at home, or at least be privy to the things you're eating when you're out at restaurants. Maybe look at the menu beforehand if you're going with a friend. Like, I know I'm going to an Indian restaurant. I'm going to House of India. What am I going to eat? Let me go to Google and look up what Indian foods are keto friendly. Again, I feel like I'm just spitting a lot at you guys in one video, and I'm sorry for that. But if you do want me to go in detail about certain things in terms of my diet and what I'm doing, please let me know in the comments so I can give that to you. And then also I want to share a few apps that I use. I like to use MyFitnessPal and LifeSum. Those are 2 apps that help you kind of like a food diary. You can enter in your meals, how much water you drank, how much exercise you did, and it helps you calculate your macros, how much protein, fat, carbs, sugar, fiber. It helps you calculate all of those things for the day so you can make sure you are meeting your personal goals. And then I really like LifeSum because it has a bunch of different diets on there, not even just the keto diet, but it just has a bunch of different plans that you can do, and it kind of helps you calculate your macros to an extent, and then it gives you recipes. And I've tried 2 of the recipes on there so far, and they're really, really good. So please let me know in the comments if you want to see me try more of those recipes, or if you just want me to share recipes that I'm, you know, cooking and eating now, because I kind of think I have it down pat to what I want to eat and about how much, you know, how many carbs or whatever is in it. And so I've worked it out pretty good to where my carbs are really low. Like some days I only eat 9 grams of carbs. That has been my journey so far. I'm sorry if this video has been really long or really choppy, because again, I'm coming down with a cold. Guys, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I really just want some tea and honey, but I'm not gonna have the honey. Maybe I'll make an exception this time, because I told y'all I'm not gonna start going ham on my diet until next week. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any other questions or if there's anything else you want to know, be sure to let me know down in the comments. Also, check out my Keto 1 month update blog post over at voiceofvera.com. And why don't you go ahead and check me out on Instagram at Vera Jeanae. That's VeraJeanae. Thank you so much. Go ahead and hit the red subscribe button down there, and then also hit the bell notification so you can get an update every time that I post a video. I don't know, like, I just want to tell you guys thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of the support, all of the comments, all of the love. I hope that I am helping somebody else with their journey while I am pursuing my own. So I hope you're having a wonderful night if it's nighttime for you too. And I hope you're having a wonderful day if it's daytime. So sorry for being so cheesy, but that's just who I am, y'all. Hopefully in another month, I'll be down another 20 pounds. We won't know until we get there. So let's just see how this goes, and come join the journey with me. And I look forward to being friends with you guys. Bye.
Know if you got a girl, don't mean to disrespect, but thoughts of you rule my world. I even dream of you, I swear. Visions of you and I see you all around my way, been needing to say hi, but I'm just way too shy.